Today in Europe, you see them operating what we call a digital nomad scheme. In other words, you don't need to leave your home to work. And what they're doing is that they're attracting young people into different communities that have aging populations, etc. And all they say is that come and live and work here, and you can have access and remotely work anywhere. COVID was good for the technology sector and it was good for the economy because it opened our eyes to things that we didn't see possible before. But another thing it's done is that it's transformed our workforce. So my colleague at the labor force is talking about different types of work. Today we have Nigerians who are writing programs and developing applications for American companies, for Chinese companies, and they're living here and earning in dollars. So it's really about how are we seeing what the workforce transformation looks like globally, and how do we tap into those opportunities, because the opportunities are there. If we want to create and address our unemployment, right, using manufacturing or the industrial sector, we can't do it in the time it takes. And Tyler said something, he said, you know what, we need to do this in speedily. These technology revolutions, the cycles are getting shorter. In another 2 years, we don't know what model we're going to be running. So we need to be mindful of the fact that time is of essence, right? In the IT world today, we have a saying, we call it fail fast and fail forward. But you need to start and try. So we need to fail fast, fail forward, record what's going on and move on. So we need to be deliberate and intentional, number one. And I think when we talk about digital lending today, we look at two things: ability to pay and willingness to pay. And I'm going to apply this to the implementation of national plans. Ability to implement and willingness to implement. The policy environment, the chairman spoke about the level playing field. That's critical, because when you have an economy that is captured by one sector, and then you want other people to come in and play and thrive, that doesn't make sense. We also need institutional coordination and collaboration. Across the MDAs, we have many repeated projects. We have the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. But then again, we are all working towards the same goals. So how do we have that common vision? How do we ensure that the monitoring and evaluation framework has quantitative, measurable targets? And then again, we also need to think about institutional adoption of technology across even government. So even within government, we have our e-government plan that still is yet to be implemented. But we need to think about how do we digitize government. The official from the ministry said about having a platform with all the data. The first thing about data is, can we trust it? Because if we can't trust it to make good decisions, then it's as good as nothing. So how do we ensure that we collect the right data, we put it up, and it's used to make the right decisions and advise and influence policy? We need to continue doing this policy environment and policy analysis because it needs to be effective. We need to have feedback loops. What are the intended consequences, unintended consequences, etc., etc. So in general, when we think about the whole technology era, we've moved and technology has evolved and changed the way we do everything. So how do we go about doing this? The environment has to be conducive, it has to be stable, the infrastructure has to be there. We have to ensure that the digital infrastructure is there, the financial infrastructure is there. And then we realize that every other sector, because we see it already today, education is being digitalized, manufacturing and agriculture are being digitalized. So every other sector will flow with that wave. And then that's why we see the multiplier effect. And then also the efficiencies and the productivity gains that we want to see in our economy. So ladies and gentlemen, it's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of grit. And the bottom line is that we just need to start and we need to start doing it. Thank you.